intro improvised. So, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of American Psycho Radio right here on Excite. We're going to have a very interesting, slightly unusual topical kind of somebody brings somebody a beer. As we like to say here at the American Psycho Radio Show, drink responsibly, don't spill. Yeah. So we've actually got the filmmakers and songwriter for a short film called A Time in Silence.
A Truth in Silence.
A Truth in Silence. Hey, host, study. Thank you. So let's sort of do a go around with the room. I am your host, Brian Crow, that you would have normally heard, and you probably know because you're tuning in. But of course, with the intro being messed up, that didn't get announced, and so. And there's camera adjustment and beer delivery going on with yes, and action. Okay, yeah, and yes, and sleep, and wake up, and okay. So over here on my left, because everybody is on my left except for you because you're in front of me, but you're sort of on my left if we're doing a horseshoe thing, and we are. So now you're on my left by osmosis. Over here is Mr. Jonathan Salemi, correct?
Correct.
And we have Felipe
Pina, like the colada.
That's right. And Mark Baldonado, that's right. And so go ahead, lean in, introduce yourselves, and let everybody know exactly what is your role in this film in particular, and then we will start to talk about the film.
Thank you. My name's Jonathan Salemi. I directed the movie, and I got it from Felipe, who's the writer-producer, and it's based on his mother's life, and as well as his own.
And I'm Felipe Pina. I'm the writer-producer, and we're missing one producer, Lynette Myers, so she's at another event tonight.
Oh, fine. So we came in second. Great.
But yeah, it's basically a story, 1 weekend in the life of my mother, of one of the thousands of incidents that happened about domestic abuse and violence, and I'm basically using it to help victims and survivors of domestic abuse and violence.
So we're going to have a happy show tonight.
Oh yeah, very happy.
That sounds awful. We will get into that with little or no mirth because it doesn't deserve it. And you, Mark Baldonado.
Yes, I am the singer-songwriter on the movie. Felipe was so gracious enough to ask me to write a song for the film, and so I decided to write the song. It's called Silent Scream.
Sounds appropriate. So let's talk. So how did the two of you guys meet up? How did this film project come to be?
I wrote the script about 3 years ago. It's one of my first scripts that I've ever written, and a friend of mine, I gave it to him just to sort of edit it and look at it to see what he thought. I wasn't initially going to even do anything with it. And so I gave it to him, and then he just happened to be roommates with Jonathan here and passed it on to Jonathan, and Jonathan liked it and then stalked me for 3 months and told me, you know, I should really make this film, and after a lot of consideration, I decided to do it, so.
I'm glad he did.
Gotcha. So let's talk. I mean, so this is the first script that you've written?
It's one of the first. Yeah, I have a lot more, but this is one of the first ones. So.
And clearly something one could describe as personal.
Yeah. Very personal.
So I mean, you're talking about the weekend in the life of your mom. Where were you?
I wasn't born yet, actually.
Oh.
So I have two older brothers, and so she was pregnant with my middle brother. So it takes place in 1976, Chicago.
Okay. And so, I mean, over the course of a weekend, I mean, without, I know it's a short film. What's about 15, 17 minutes?
It's 16 and a half minutes, pretty much, yeah.
I mean, what is is it simply the telling of a story? Is there any, I'm sure for you there had to be a level of catharsis in doing it, but from a viewer standpoint, or is it sort of just witness this and take it in?
My hope is basically for people to witness it and take it in and to realize that, you know, things like this happen, and I am basically a product of what happened back then, and sort of using that for my own sort of psychological, you know, benefit, and to help me get that off my chest.
Sure.
But also, you know, to encourage other people to tell their stories, because there's millions and millions of people that go through things like this, but they don't get, you know, help, or they don't, you know, they just keep keep it all in. So, and I think when you grow up, there's a lot of issues that you have growing, and you don't know where it stems from, and so you should get counseling, because you could have post-traumatic stress syndrome as a child just by watching.
And is that something that you experienced?
Yeah, I mean, 13 of the 17 years that my mother was married to my father, it was daily basis. We were hit, we were abused, just, it was like walking on eggshells. You look at my dad wrong, and it was pretty bad, basically, yeah.
It sounds like, I haven't had the opportunity to see the film, but even just based on what I'm hearing, it sounds to take 17 years of life and encapsulate it into 17 minutes had to be a bit of an undertaking, I would think.
Yeah, it was based on a story that my mother had told me, and what I did was I infused all the abuse and violence that I had witnessed or seen or had done to myself, and then sort of took her little story and then wrote it that way. So it's a mesh of my experience and her experience, and sort of based on the truth. So what happened?
You said something kind of interesting, something that you did to yourself. So was there a point that, because of being surrounded with this level of violence, that you began to actually take it out on yourself, so to speak?
Growing up in an environment like that, it holds you back a lot in life. It holds you back in school. It holds you back in relationships you try to establish with people. It holds, your girlfriend, boy, whatever the case may be. It just holds you back in life, I think. And if you're not willing to sort of face the fact and get it off your chest and acknowledge the fact that you grew up that way, and acknowledge the things that went on, because you could be removed from the situation, but that doesn't mean you're in the clear.
Right, I gotcha.
So
stuff lingers
for a long time, and physical abuse, it heals, but mental abuse, it's for life. So you got to acknowledge that and take care of it. So
all right, so over the course of time, I've heard many, many, many stories about domestic violence and domestic abuse. Was there ever a point that you and your brothers and your mom ever thought about sitting down and going, let's kill him?
That's part two.
Oh, there's a sequel.
Here's the thing, is when you're a kid and you're 3, 4, 5 years old, when you watch that happening, you feel really helpless, because if you try to do something about it, you're getting thrown across the room, or you're getting the shit beat out of you. So it's like, what do you do? I felt really helpless as a kid most of the time. There's a lot of statistics and studies that when kids, especially little boys, when they grow up and they witness that stuff, they literally want to kill their father growing up. And I know my older brother has some anger issues, and my middle brother, and to a certain extent I've been able to control that, but watching them and sort of their issues and go through their things is also another reason why I made it, because I want to sort of focus on why they are the way they are, and hopefully they can even go and get help and not continue the cycle that every family that's been through this sort of thing continues to do. So. Right.
No, that's the sort of the repeat offender thing, sort of, as so many things get passed on through genealogy. Sometimes domestic abuse sort of seems to have a legacy, so to speak. Yeah. In fact, and that's something. Do you know? Is that an environment that your dad came from?
Not that I know offhand. My grandparents are the sweetest people, and I love them to death. And there's never an indication that he was ever, physically abused or anything. And I know he has sisters. They're great people. They treat their kids well, and I don't know what exactly his issue is. But I did speak with somebody at Violence Intervention Program, which is a crisis center I'm trying to help. And the one who started it, she basically said that sometimes it's not about trying to figure out why they are the way they are, but just sort of focus on yourself and get past that. Because sometimes people are just born assholes.
It's true. We see them every day on the freeways of Los Angeles. Yeah. Wow. That's I'll just say I'm really sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you, man. That's a horrible way to have the first part of your life be.
Yeah, but I think in any situation, if you're able to get over it, is probably what I focused on
Sure.
as a kid. So.
Have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's the option, really? Well, I mean, actually, there's probably several options. Once again, people driving on the freeway in Los Angeles. And so, Jonathan, you are the director, correct?
Correct.
So how was it? I mean, how do you go about choosing the subject or a film that you're going to do, and what is it that that attracted you to Felipe's story?
Well, it was just something that I could really picture. So when I read his script, I could see it, and it was something that I saw was challenging, and that gravitated me towards it. And then I'd never met him before. It was only through my roommate, and the script moved me, and I felt that I had to go that direction.
Gotcha. What had you done previously? In fact, how many films have you done?
I think before that, either 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Around there. So I thought...
Obviously, Indelible Memories.
Yes.
I did 3 or 4. I don't know. I showed up, I said action, I laughed.
I wish it was like that. But no, it was different than what I've done in the past. So it was something that I felt would really challenge me, and as a filmmaker, that this would be an avenue that I should go and try and tell a more, real to life story instead of these fantasies that I tell.
Gotcha. So what were some of the fantasies that you'd done previously? And I mean on film.
Yeah. Well, nothing like this one. The first one was a guy whose the light switch in his house turns on his virgin girlfriend.
What's the address?
I don't know. And then the next one after that, I made a short film, which actually was the one that got Felipe to approach me for this, or I think it sort of helped facilitate this whole process. Was a short film that I made that was seen around and got some good showings and stuff. So that was called Sidewalk Symphony. It's playing in Europe right now.
Okay.
On TV, and it's on iTunes.
What was that about?
It's about a boy who gets his iPod taken away and ends up making music with the environment.
Talk about abuse, my God.
Yeah, it's very light. So that was kind of the thing too. Like, it was a much more, compared to the light fear that I was making before, this was a much more serious fear. And I was like,
sure.
Well, I can do that as well. And I wanted to, maybe prove to myself, but tell a story at the same time that did that.
Gotcha. And what else? That's 2. You got 1 or 2 more, depending.
Another one about a guy and female, a guy and girl, called Open Road, and they meet in Antelope Valley. Okay. And just a meeting between 2 people, and sees where they go. We got that one, and a feature documentary that we're trying to distribute right now.
And what's that called?
It's called Making Your Mark: A Year in the Life of an Entrepreneur. And tomorrow I meet with the guy who's Mark, and I'm like, Mark, we need to sell this thing now.
Okay, so make your mark, you're being sort of literal.
Pretty much, yeah. His name is Mark. He's an entrepreneur. And what happened was I was hooked up to meet him because he wanted to make a reality show. But when I met him, I didn't really move towards the reality show, but I was more moved towards him as a person. And I was like, what is it that you do? And he was showing me all these inventions and stuff, and he had one invention where he owns the patent for the spine of a CD case.
Oh, wow.
So if you want to put anything inside that spine, he owns that patent. And I was like, well, this is a really cool guy who's very energetic and outgoing. I want to follow him to see if he can make his dream come true. So we ended up following him for 14 months. I hired a director for the project, so I produced that one, and so we made a feature film, and it's played at festivals, and it won those festivals it played at, and now we're trying to get it on Netflix.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're actually looking. In fact, we were talking about this. We were going to talk about potential distribution options for both of these films, and so let's talk about that. I mean, so in terms of having made this film, now is the film complete? Are you still in post-production? Where are you guys at with it?
Documentary?
Yeah, no, in the one that you guys.
A Truth in Silence is fairly complete. So we were fortunate enough that we sent a rough cut to the Los Angeles Latino International Film Fest, which is playing at this weekend, 12:35 on Sunday at the Chinese,
and Monday at 4:45.
And we got a second showing on Monday as well, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the first showing is in their theater that holds 460 people, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So What was your question?
Another beer, please.
I guess where are you guys?
Right. So we submitted them a rough cut, and we got accepted off of that rough cut. So we had to scramble to get our film prepped in time for the festival this Sunday, and it's fairly done. It's pretty much all done. It's just, I think there's just little touches that I see as myself that I need to fix in like credits or little small.
We'll talk about that later.
little small parts. So, but it's done.
So as a filmmaker, because I hear this, is there ever a point when you're making something that you feel like it's done, or is it something where if you were given the opportunity, you would just tinker with it forever?
It's never done.
Okay.
So the short film I told you about, Sidewalk Symphony, that's been playing for about 3 years now. Okay. And with each channel that it gets on, so when I learned, it's playing now nationally in the United States, well, that's cool. I need to put my best foot even more forward. So I make changes in it, and then I give them that cut. And then I learned it's playing in Europe, and I make changes again, and I give it to them again. So it's always going through changes, but I feel like right now with that film, it's completely done, because the energy has to continue to move forward on the things I currently have. So, and I've got another one too, which I forgot to mention, called Chasing the Past. It's a sci-fi film.
That's right, we're mentioning that.
And we hired a publicist this morning, and we're hoping to get that out there fairly soon.
So what's, without giving anything away so nobody can steal the idea, what's the general thrust of that?
No, it's a sci-fi film, and it's about a man who loses his fiancée in a car accident, and then one day meets a self-proclaimed time traveler.
Ooh. The plot thickens.
Right.
That's very cool. That's some interesting shit.
Oh, thank you.
All right, we've ignored you long enough. So, Felipe, no, wait a minute. So you're sitting here with a guitar. Let's delve a little bit into, so you, how did you end up being asked to write the track that you wrote for this?
Well, again, I've known Felipe for about 7 years, maybe.
Oh, like 10, for quite a while.
10 years. We actually kind of knew each other somewhat in Denver, but we never really talked. And I moved here, and we worked on General Hospital or something.
Really?
And then we kind of connected again. And then later on, my song was in a film that he was in. And then he knew, of course, that I was doing music, and I had songs on iTunes and stuff, and so then he asked me to do this project.
Very cool. So, I mean, what is your overall, strictly music? So you were actually doing music for General Hospital?
No, we were just actors on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you act as well?
Background actors.
So you were like patient number 3.
Yes, Dr. Amorte.
It's like what Rick Springfield started on General Hospital, right? And he too, yeah.
He's still on there once in a while.
So, what brought you to music?
I've been doing music since I was young, and then I started when I moved to Colorado. I had become like I won a contest. I sang at the Grand Ole Opry.
Wow, that
was pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet. How did that happen?
It was just a contest that they were running in Denver for vocalists, and I competed against people, and then eventually I got in, and then I went to Nashville and sang there, and then I sang backup for Andy Williams for his Christmas show.
Really?
Yeah, which was awesome. And then I moved here and I started doing shows and putting more songs on iTunes, and this is my second song in a film.
So what was the other one?
Walk a Mile in My Pradas, which came out 2 years ago.
The name of the song was what? On the Surface?
On the Surface. The song was called On the Surface. It's a dance song. So that song was a dance song. This is more of a ballad song. So
no, definitely. And you will be playing it live in the studio in just a little bit.
Great.
That's cool. So strictly guitar? Are you a multi-instrumentalist?
Mostly guitar, a bit of piano, but mostly guitar. And a lot of my shows are acoustic. They're acoustic shows. But yeah, I've been writing since I was 10.
Wow. So if one were have you a website that people out there can go check your stuff out?
Yeah, you can go to iTunes or MySpace or SoundCloud. You can just put in Mark Baldonado on Google, and there'll be all these websites that come up.
Mark Baldonado on Google. Do that now. Wait, no, don't do that now. Do that in about 40 minutes. But very cool. So in terms of when you sit down to write, I mean, for example, the track that you're going to play for us in a bit, how did that come about? What inspired that, and what moved you to create what you did?
Yeah, well, basically Felipe had told me what the story was about, And
I gave him the script.
He gave me the script.
I'm like, read this.
And I read it and I was like, wow, this is really heavy. And he's like, yeah, so can you write a song about this? Domestic violence? And I was like, okay. And so then
So you were writing like songs for Slayer and...
Yeah. So then I started writing. I wrote the song and everything, and then he called me like a couple of weeks later and he was like, can you come over and sing it to me? And I was like, okay. So I went over to his house. I was kind of scared. This is a personal song. It's about his mom.
Right.
And so I went over to his house and I brought my guitar and I started singing the song, but I had my eyes closed the whole time. And then I opened my eyes and I thought, God, is he going to hate it? Is he going to love it? And he was crying. And I thought, this better be tears of joy. And he said,
son of a bitch.
I knew I shouldn't have asked him.
No, but he I looked at him and he said, perfect. And so I was happy. And he was happy.
Yeah, it was very perfect and spot on. So it was, because I close my eyes too. Because I when I listen to music, I really listen to music. I listen to the words, and if it's shitty words, then it could be a great tune or whatnot. But if the words don't make sense, then I don't like it. But the words match the music, match the tone of it, just everything fit. So
it's weird. Yeah,
it's cool because
really
Mark's
fast.
voice almost sounds like Felipe's voice. Really? I asked Felipe if that was him singing it.
Oh.
All right, so now let's make it a duet.
We could, but...
Well, I'm actually looking at the clock. How do you feel about performing the song? By the way, what's the track called?
The track is called Silent Scream.
Okay. How do you feel about playing that right now?
I'd love to.
All right, so hang on. I'm going to dim the... we'll remove the death instrumental stuff in the background. Here, go ahead. Harmonize with this.
Yay.
All right, and go. All right, so we're going to take a moment and...
Hear it?
Go ahead, yeah.
All right.
You're on, brother.
This is Silent Scream.
I am fading when the quiet stare anticipating although I was scared. The truth is changing. The thoughts lay heavy on my head. Whoa, 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 is it over now? The wind has moved me to the edge, letting out the silent scream I keep within, 'cause it won't go down, 'cause you can't take me in the end. I'll find myself away from this hell. This page of life was meant to tell. You were taking my one last breath, intoxicating all that you possess, and I kept waiting in this empty nest. Whoa, 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 is it over now? The wind has moved me to the edge, I'm letting out the silent scream I keep within, 'cause it won't go down, 'cause you can't take me in the end. I'll find myself away from this hell. This page of life was meant to tell. One step may sound so crazy, but I found it all amazing. Even when I could not see it through. me to the edge. I'm letting out the silent scream I keep within, 'cause it won't go down, 'cause you can't take me in the end. I'll find myself away from this hell. This page of life was meant to tell. I'll find myself away from this hell. This page of life was meant to tell.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, nothing heartfelt going on there at all. Wow, nice work, man, really.
Thank you.
It's very good.
Yes. How is that for you to listen to?
No, like I said, I've listened to music my whole life, and maybe that was sort of like an escape for what was going on. So constantly listening to music, and when I heard it, I fell in love with it, and I'm like, we're gonna get this mastered for you. So I ended up, I'm like, I don't know anything about, getting music mastered or anything. So I, looked around, I Googled a lot, and, found a vocalist, and just sort of, Mark had a friend that, produced some stuff, and, just got everybody on board to try and get this song, perfect. So
That's really so. When you sat down to write that, how quickly and easily did that come together for you?
I have to be honest with you, I can relate to Felipe's situation because my dad was also very violent.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was very personal, and I thought about his mom because my mom obviously dealt with the same situations and the same degree of domestic violence. So I felt like I just put her in mind and just wrote from her perspective of what she was feeling. So in the song, as it says, I'll find myself away from this hell. This page of life was meant to tell. And as Felipe is telling his story, and it's going to reach people and help all the women out there or whoever out there, it's definitely going to make a mark. So I felt like this needed to be said. Yeah. And it really just kind of flowed out of me, which was weird. And when I was done, I thought, oh my God, it's done. And it's perfect. Like I felt lyrically, it just like fell into place. And that's why when he called and said, can you come over and sing it? I was scared, but at the same time, I was like, he's got to like it. Because I felt like sometimes when you write songs that are so quick, it's kind of meant to be. And this just kind of happened that way.
Yeah, and I mean, as a songwriter, I know exactly what you're talking about. There's sort of that point where you go, no, that's yeah.
It had that flow, so I was very, very pleased, and I'm glad he loves it. So,
yeah, my mom loves it too.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I was more happy that his mom loved it.
I had to run everything by my mother.
Now, in fact, we're gonna take a short commercial break. In fact, and I want to ask you about where your mom is, and sort of talk a little bit more about the movie and where things are going to progress from here. But we are going to take a short break here on the American Psycho Radio Show. I am still your host, Brian Crow, and hope to probably be that by the end of the show too. But you never fucking know with this show. So we will be right back after these short commercial breaks that may or may not be legitimate. Who cares? I know enough about illegitimacy. I have kids.
It's finally here. You've been waiting your entire life, but now the wait is over. Introducing the all-new, limited, one-of-a-kind, incredible, amazing, sensational thing. It does everything you want and nothing you don't. It does what other things can't and goes where other things won't. You know you want it. We know where to get it. You won't find this in stores or anywhere else. It's not available online. You can't even call us to order it. We have it. You want it. The thing. You want it really bad? You're gonna have to find out how to get it yourself, because we're keeping out the thing, okay? Now act now. This is a limited time offer, alright? Expires fucking January 1st, 2042. There is no political recourse that can be made with this product. This product does not endorse peeing off bridges. Doctors advise that you should never use this product. But my mom says she doesn't get it. Call YouTube and ask them how they feel about it. Thank.
Excite Media, Los Angeles. Website development. We are the surgeons of the development world. Since 1999, we have developed well over 1,000 interactive experiences and have the talent to create whatever you desire to represent you or your company. Visit www.xm.la or give us a call at 818-985-2464 to schedule an appointment with the specialist. Excite Media, Los Angeles.
Steve, what is wrong with you? I am always washing your shit-stained underwear and I'm sick of looking at it. Can't you wipe your ass right? Well, now you can with Ass Wash. Tired of that god-awful odor emanating from your rectum? Is your girlfriend? Want to completely eliminate all unwanted bacteria and fecal matter? Anytime, anywhere? Introducing Ass Wash. With Ass Wash, you simply use your handy sanitary wipes with our patented sandpaper-like technology to forcefully remove everything from your backside, including your skin. Try Ass Wash today, risk-free, and order in the next 10 minutes, and receive two Ass Wash packages to keep you stale for an entire year. Act now will throw in your handy putt-putt grooming kit so you can manscape way to the putting green of your choosing with exciting stencils from courses around the world. Want your junk to hang out on the fairway from the Las Vegas Country Club or get the extra hazards pack to accent your creation? We'll also include our Cut Sleeve 9 iron. All this for the incredibly low price of 6 payments of just $49.99. Act now, supplies are limited. Call us at 310-555-1234 or visit us online at robinlegal.org.
Have you ever wanted to get those blood stains out, but it seems too difficult? Did you ever try to cover up a brutal, accidental murder? Didn't know where to start? Hi, I'm Walt Bergerton, and I'm here to share my innovative secrets on becoming a serial killer. Entrepreneur. With these 5 simple steps, you too can become your own featured and menacing soulless predator. Entrepreneur. Act now, and I'll throw in these handy supplies to help you get the job done right. If you order in the next 5 minutes, we'll throw in our exclusive misdirection kit so you can pin the blame on someone else and get away scot-free. You don't want to go to prison. Let someone else do it for you. Try the new Walt Bergerton's Guide to Hiding Your Sins in the tell-all exclusive New York Times bestseller and Oprah's Book of the Month for 4 months running. Call today at 555-KILL-THE-BALL to know everything that you've done.
Act now. Seeking a home for your website and require managed services? What are managed services? You need to make a change to your website but don't know how to do it? Don't have a content management system installed or don't understand how to use it? Managed hosting is the way to go. With XMLA Managed Website Hosting, you just email us or give us a call and we will update your website for you. Packages start at only $24.95 per month, and it's only $5 for each additional gigabyte of space, and you can host and serve your site on a fast, reliable platform with complete control. Visit XMLAhost.com for complete information.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the American Psycho Radio Show. Turn that noise down. How exactly do you follow up a song like that? That was seriously amazing. So, nice. Yes. Round of applause. Everybody at home, stand up and give them as though we know. Wait, I see you. Hold it. What are you wearing? Oh, sorry. So, I was wondering about this. Where's your mom and how's she doing?
My mother is right now currently in Denver, Colorado. So my mom's from Colorado. Her whole family's from there, like 15 generations. So she's doing well now. You know, my dad stalked us for 2 years after she sort of
we're gonna get to him in a minute.
Divorced him and
really they got divorced. Stop it. No.
Yeah, you know, so it was a bit 2 years of like him stalking us was sort of hell. And no, for the most part she's fine, but you know, she herself has never really gotten counseling for what happened to her. So
I was gonna ask, and And I guess has she ever shared with you why she hasn't?
I think that when you grow up sort of trying to survive as like a survivor of whatever it may be, you think you can take care of everything yourself. And so you never ask for help, and you just sort of go about doing what you need to do however you're going to do it.
Sure.
And so I think that that's probably one of the reasons she's never, sought help, maybe because she's like, I'm fine now, I can take care of myself, and, it's not an issue. But with the film and whatnot, and she gave me permission to make it, and she's told me some things that, that happened to her when she was a child, my mother's 54 years old, and she's never told anybody, her whole life. So it's becoming cathartic for her too, to finally talk about things and just speak about what happened to her. One of the reasons her self-esteem was so low, and why she, was with my dad to begin with, and why, and it, like I said, it's a cycle.
I was gonna say again, it is that continuing circle of abuse.
So people have such a low self-esteem that they'll just, go with somebody who they think that gives them attention, and they'll stick with it because it's what they know, and they confuse sort of them being beat with love because that's what they grew up watching.
Right.
Well, it's what they grew up, experiencing. It's
it's what they associate that sort of emotional connection is with that kind of activity because they don't know anything otherwise.
And they feel comfortable with it, and but it's completely wrong.
Completely.
I grew up, I think, thinking that everybody's father was the same way. So it was my friends, and then when I found out that that wasn't the case, it was like, oh, okay.
So were you ever like over at friends' houses as a kid going, hey, when does the yelling start?
I'm pretty much. I'm like, your dad is like not like mine.
He's nice. Can I stay? No, really, can I stay?
Yeah, it was, we weren't allowed to have friends. We weren't allowed to have, it's anything. We couldn't go sleep over at friends' houses. It was a control issue. We always lived out in the country somewhere. It wasn't, I grew up in Wyoming, so which explains a lot. Which explains a lot too.
Sorry, Wyoming. People in Wyoming are going, turn that shit off.
Everyone moves out. Let's just say that.
What's good to do in Wyoming? Leave.
Seriously.
So, all right. So then, kind of well, not really the ugly question. Where's your dad?
My dad.
And do we care?
My dad's still in Wyoming, actually.
Yeah.
And I don't have a real relationship with him. It's.
I can imagine.
Maybe twice a year, and the thing is like I also got to a point where I forgave him for for what he did, and because the more that I hold on to the fact that like he was an asshole, that he beat us and all this stuff, like the more it can't hold on to anger because it's poison.
Right. It hurts you more than
for just to move ahead in life. And so I learned to let go of a lot of things, sometimes too much. But it's something that my mother taught me. So
I was gonna say that had to be a hard hurdle to get over. I would guess anyway.
For me, I don't know why it was easier for me. My brothers, I think, still sort of suffer from everything that went on. So, and just their daily interactions with people, some of the anger issues, some of that. So, but they're learning now that they're getting older to sort of just let things go more and not focus on the fact that that it was such a bullshit growing up. So.
Right. So you see your dad maybe a couple of times a year. Is that? What's that like? Is that something? Is it something where because you've gone through a process of forgiveness that you can actually go, I'm actually looking forward to seeing my dad, or is it like I'm gonna do this because I sort of? What's that about?
Instead of I know some people that want to kill their fathers. It's just more. I feel sorry for him because he. You think he's going to be old and alone because, he's the way he is. He hasn't really changed much. So I really feel sorry for him to think that, I would never do that. I've done everything I could in life to not be like my father that, it's just, I just feel sorry for him now.
Sure.
So.
No, I think a sense of pity is probably about the best way to go with it at this point. It's
when I see him, and the hug is just awkward and like,
right?
It's like, hey, it's I punch him in the arm, and I mean that's like the
irony.
But
it's not a hard punch. It's more like
when we started the film, and I asked the questions that you're asking as well, like what caused this, and why did he do this, and did his parents abuse him? Like, you were mentioning to me that this frustration, like maybe there was something he's frustrated about, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know
cause
what
abuse, which you may not inherit from your family, but something inside of you that you're not satisfying, and you take it out on people.
Yeah, my mom was under the impression that maybe he was gay, or maybe he was, repressed feelings or something. I'm like, you never know. It's like it's an issue that if they're dealing with it, they need counseling themselves, and they need to really deal with it. So, it's. Who knows what his frustrations were. So, and I know my mom talked about we were in Chicago, it's where I was born. I think drugs were involved probably when he was beating her, and who knows. So
too many pizzas from Giordano's. You know what? Maybe it was just a bad case of lactose intolerance.
Probably that was it.
For 17 years.
Yeah.
Gas.
But so I want to know, is he going to see the film?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I mean,
what does
he's
he
more
know
than
so
welcome
far
to,
about the movie?
He doesn't really. I mean, like I said, I don't really speak for them. I know, like my cousins, like his side of the family, they're all on Facebook and everything, so they know about the film. But it's not like it's a secret. Like my grandparents didn't know what was going on, because my mother told me that one time my dad was just beating the shit out of her in front of my grandparents. So much that my uncle grabbed my dad and pulled him off of my mother. And so his own brother. So it's not like they didn't know what was going on, so they wouldn't be surprised by the fact that I made a movie about it.
Sure. So is there any, once this is done, is there ever a thought about maybe being able to expand it into a feature?
People ask me that all the time, and there's enough stories that I can make it into a feature.
Sure.
So
either that, or there's the obvious: shop it to Lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like if somebody is interested and they want to make it into a feature, I definitely will consider it, because it's one thing that the reason I'm collaborating with two nonprofit organizations, and that's the Family Tree in Denver, Colorado, and Violence Intervention Program here in Los Angeles. And they love it because it's a resource for them to use to, for just people who are in that situation to identify with, the characters in the movie. And film has a way of just, really reaching into homes and really, addressing things that aren't being said, and that, that it could really help them. So
it's amazing how sharing stories that at least one of the things you always hear is that people in that kind of situation feel very isolated, and as though even thinking they're the only ones.
Yeah.
And by seeing that and knowing that, no, we're not alone in this, actually can create that bridge that's like, hey, there's a way out. Yeah. There's a way to make this stop. And so that's a hugely positive thing.
Yeah, and it's actually the only reason that I decided that I said, if I'm going to put my life out there, then it's going to help whoever I can, wherever I can, in the deepest, darkest corner in the world. It's going to help, and I told my mother that, and she said that's one of the reasons she agreed for me to make it. So, whoever it can help, if you find yourself in a situation, there is, like the song says, one step you may find so crazy, but it's amazing. It's freeing.
I would assume.
Yeah, it's been a road. It's been a journey.
So, has your mom seen Rough Cut? Anything?
She did, and she cried. Obviously.
She was supposed to come to the festival too.
Yeah, she was supposed to come, but
because I haven't met her as well, and I was hoping she would come to the festival because it was important for me to tell the most true story that I could.
Sure, it's hi, I made this movie about you.
Yeah.
Very nice to meet you.
Surprise! Your life. Happy birthday, Mom. Remember that time?
Here's a stranger that just made this film about you.
Yeah, no, she's my mom's like the coolest person ever. She's she was always everything that my dad was. He told us we were pieces of crap. We weren't going to do anything. It was that whole like, you didn't amount to anything.
Right.
And with the beating, she always compensated for whatever he lacked in. Like, so she's constantly telling us she loved us, constantly hugging us, telling us we could be anything we want in life. It was love unconditional, like to the point that we were able. I think that's probably why that. I think I have her heart because like I just always try to encourage everybody to do what they want in life because nothing should hold you back, not even your bastard dad that or asshole dad because he's not really
or asshole bastard dad or bastard dad.
Whatever you want to call it. My friend calls his dad a sperm donor, so
asshole. So how was that how did you approach directing this sort of not necessarily knowing all the actual players involved?
It was very Kid Glovish in a way that I had to really be curious. So I really wanted to meet Felipe and ask him about the story and, ask the same questions that you're asking him, like, what's your relationship now with your dad? What does he think? Where's this coming from? Because it was important to find out where everything came from.
How did you grow up? Because I always wondered
the complete opposite way.
Yeah,
so,
like what
his
years
mom
have you ever
beat
had
him.
experience?
Which explains even
happens
more.
too, actually,
It does. Abuse is gender neutral.
Very, yeah.
No, I was fortunate enough that I grew up in a very nice household that didn't have abuse. But whatever kernels of that I could relate to and expand upon that. But it was more like just exploring Felipe's life and learning more about him and learning about his mom. And I'd never met her, I haven't talked to her yet, and learning about his dad and just much like the way I think Mark wrote the song was more like a very visceral feeling of gathering his emotional state of being and what he's trying to tell and be true to that story. So that's what I was trying to go for.
And I guess when you decided to start making films, was this the kind of thing that you thought you would want to delve into, or were you thinking more sci-fi and turning chicks on with a light switch, which I still think is genius.
Well,
is that patented yet, by the way? Because if not, I'm right after the show. I'm busy.
We can talk to Mark, who was the patent on the CD case.
Okay.
Maybe he might do it. But no, it was more a thing as growing as a filmmaker and telling a story that shows my maturity and shows the stories that I want to tell. Versus the stories that first film, which I'm very proud of, but it dealt with what I knew at that time.
Right.
And so with my growth, I want to tell more mature stories and really explore more my own voice. And when I read his script, it was just so moving. And it's like I heard a lot about Felipe from our roommate Al, who really helped put us together, and I just wanted to learn more. It comes from a place of curiosity, I think.
So you sit down, you read a script like that, and you go, "Yeah, I'm going to make this." Is it difficult to begin to sort of, because obviously you have to imagine it. You have to imagine how it's going to look and how you want to shoot it, and finding actors and all this stuff to really put something like this together. And this is not, this is not easy topic to. So how do you approach that? And is it difficult as you're imagining it? You're thinking, all right, so I have to imagine an abusive situation. Is that wearing and difficult on you to do?
What did you tell me? It was a director's script because I'm very visual when I write, so it's like I laid it out, and I think when we spoke, it's like what is your vision? Because this is what I see.
Right, and when we saw it eye to eye, and I think it was more of like walking, not a fine line, but when you first meet someone for the first time, and you're seeing if you like the same thing. Like, I like Coke, and you're like, I like Coke. I don't like Pepsi. I don't like Pepsi. And it was more like finding your way and just making sure. I think for Felipe to have the confidence to have me aboard and to like that we meshed, and it felt like that off the bat, which was nice. And the way he wrote it was like words that I'd used.
Okay.
So it was just very visual that I could see it that way. And I think that's how that all formed.
And then watching that, once it's shot and seeing, are you watching it going, yep, that's about what it was like?
Yeah, there were on moments where there's a baby in the film, and it's like we need to get one take. It's like we need to get that baby out of there because it's you go back to and you remember, just
the baby did an amazing job.
And the baby, Mason, he's adorable.
He cried on cue, Brian. Like he
everyone's like, how'd you do that?
The very first shot.
I don't know how you not cry on that one.
It's rather amazing. The very first shot, and it's not giving anything away. We steady cam from the doorway with his father dragging his mother in. And
there's an opener.
and it carries through the living room. We see the living room, and then we finally reveal the baby. And the baby's content. And then Abimael Linares, who was our lead actor that played
my father,
dad,
who I refused to cast.
He slams his hand on the table, and the baby cries on cue, and we get that all in one take. And it's just amazing. And it's just like Felipe, when we first came aboard, and we wear these bracelets right here.
Oh yeah, I got these in Sri Lanka.
And it was just like so many signs for the movie, like things to happen, and just a lot of things just fell into place, and that goes right down to the baby crying, like right on cue.
Wow.
Without even knowing it.
But you were saying but you kind of wanted to get the baby out of the environment as quickly as possible,
because,
right?
like I said,
I wanted to keep it there for more takes.
Yeah, you're like, that was awesome.
No, I was like, no,
we need to write another part for the baby.
I'm like, Jonathan, get that baby out of there. It was just, it just reminded me. And then even, Vanessa Garcia, who, I randomly met at a party a year before.
And Vanessa plays your mom?
She plays my mother.
Okay.
And, when I met her, I'm like, you kind of look like my mother. I'm like, there's a script I was sort of playing around, like when my mother's beautiful when she was younger, and she's still a beautiful person. And just something about her. But I made her go through the whole casting process because, like, if I was going to say something or show something about my mother, it had to be perfect.
Right.
And it had to be, I'm not going to put shit out there, basically, if it has to do with my family or my mom or especially my mother. So, the casting process was great, though. And, I cried a lot. I'm kind of a big crybaby when it comes to that. And, women crying. And it's just because I remember my mom and all that stuff. So.
How could you not?
Yeah.
You big wuss. What are you talking about? Why are you so emotional over abuse?
But yeah, it was a good process, and I sort of didn't want to cast my dad, so I left it to Jonathan and my other producer Lynette Myers to sort of cast him because I don't know, I just didn't want to watch that whole thing.
I get it.
So
and he kind of casted himself.
Yeah,
just like when he walked in the door.
He's great. They're phenomenal actors, by the way.
I was gonna say, so when they finally picked the guy, what was that like to go, oh, that him?
They sent me basically the audition tapes, and I went through 5 or 10 of them, and I picked my top 5, and then so we narrowed them down from there. There was just something about him. There was a look in his eye that was reminded me just of what my dad would do, and it's that look that you knew to run the hell away, or you were gonna get hit no matter where you were standing, or so you would just sort of hide.
And on the first day of shooting, Felipe beat the shit out of the guy.
No, and you see, this is another sort of thing that Abimael, he came to me, he said, thank you so much for casting me in the film. He quit drinking like 6 months ago.
Okay.
And his father told him, this is sort of a blessing that because he was starting to sort of go down that road and, be aggressive with his girlfriend and all that stuff at the time, and so he quit drinking, and he said his father told him this is a reminder of that this isn't how you should be. So, and he thanked me, and of course I cried. I'm like, I'm glad, because it's like already helping people, and
well, it's amazing how good acts have ripple effects.
Yeah. So, and
it's a great cast.
Yeah, I love them all. I love the whole crew. That everyone works so hard, and it was non-profit sponsored film, so we didn't have a lot of money to begin with, but everyone just gave so much.
What kind of budget did you have?
I put in $10,000 of my own money from I took out of my 401k, and I sort of raised the other half on Indiegogo.
Okay.
And that's about it, so it's a 501c3 sponsored, so it's tax break even if you donate to the film. So still to this day, so truthandsilence.com.
I was going to say, if somebody wants, if they're
October 13th. 12:35 Chinese.
So what again is the website?
It's atruthinsilence.com.
Atruthinsilence.com. When the show's over, go check that out.
And it's in English and Spanish because actually the film is bilingual. So my father only spoke Spanish, and my mother's 15 generations her side from here, so she didn't speak a lot of Spanish. She just spoke English.
So what's the next script that you're going to work on? A comedy?
No, I actually have. It's a historical piece.
Really?
My mother's history is so rich and deeply rooted in the southwest of New Mexico. We have a ranch and a cemetery, and so I've traced my family history all the way back to the 1500s.
Whoa!
When the Inquisition was, the original person that came over was Italian, so it's he ended up in Mexico because they were I guess bringing a bunch of people over and whatnot, and he was the Sephardic Jew, all this stuff that you don't think about when you think about the Southwest. So it's I
can't remember the Western with the Sephardic Jew. Well, is that a yarmulke I see before me?
Well, no, that's the thing. It's like the pilgrim in history. The Pilgrims came, and then all of a sudden it's the gold rush.
Right.
They forget all the people that were already there, settled, and with the Native Americans and the Apache, in which I'm also Native American, and so it's that whole historical thing I sort of want to bring to the surface, and it's based on a true story of his trip over. So the original Pinot is that's my next script.
Very cool. And what are you up to next? Right after the show. No,
well, I'm gonna have dinner now.
Okay.
No, actually, I just want.
Where are you eating? Is it gluten-free?
It is not. Love my bread. No, Silent Scream will be available on iTunes on Monday.
Very cool. And got any other musical projects that you're working on? A solo record, whatever?
Yeah, I'm working on some other dance songs.
Yeah.
And just really excited about plugging this song.
And the version that's in the film is actually got a full orchestration?
Oh, yeah, violins. Okay. It's really beautiful. It's basically a ballad. Beautiful ballad.
And how might somebody be able to go and hear that?
Just iTunes.com, Amazon.com.
Or SoundCloud, yeah. You have
SoundCloud.
Okay.
But by Monday, it should be available for purchase.
Very cool.
Yes.
And what about you, Jonathan?
I'm on the same boat, too. So if you go to iTunes next week, Sidewalk Symphony will be up.
Okay.
So I'm glad to get that out to now everybody, which would be nice. And then we're trying to release the feature documentary, Making Your Mark. So look for that hopefully on Netflix soon. And then I got another movie, Chasing the Past, the sci-fi
Chasing
film.
the Past, the sci-fi.
And we're hoping that should come out at the beginning of the year.
Cool. So have you started shooting that yet? Or
it's all done.
It's all done.
It's in post.
Gotcha.
I'm just putting the finishing touches on it right now. And we started submitting it. We submitted to Sundance last month and just submitted to Slam Dance. So
cool.
I want to be in parts.
I want to see a screening. I'm a sci-fi junkie. I am. It's
a fun one.
It's kind of sick and disgusting. But and are you guys available? Can you be found on Facebook, Twitter? Is there social networking places?
Oh yeah, we're on. A Truth Is on Twitter, and it's Truth in Silence on Facebook. So, and you can look up my last name, Pina, P-I-N-A, like the colada. It's Felipe, and I've sort of tried to integrate everyone and market it that way. So
go and check this stuff out. I mean, unfortunately, abuse seems to be sort of this rampant thing that's out there in the world. And if you happen to be out there in the audience and any of this relates to you, any of this taps a chord for you, go and take a look at this stuff. And what are the two charities that you're also working with?
The one in Denver is the Family Tree, so familytree.org, thefamilytree.org, and then here in Los Angeles, it's violenceinterventionprogram.org. So those are places you can go, and if you can discreetly get help, if you need, they'll help you with what you need if you find yourself in a situation that you can't get out of, or if you're even a victim that needs help, you can go there.
I think if there's if there's one message that you can come away from any of this with, is that if you're in a situation like this, you're not alone, and that help is absolutely out there, and it's probably much closer than you think.
Exactly.
So definitely tap into these things and understand that if you are out there and you are in a situation that you need help, don't hesitate to go find it, because there is a way out of this kind of hellish nightmare. And So don't for a minute, not even a minute, think that there's not. And the example is right here, and the example is in the film. So, and if you're not in this situation, lucky for you. But then if you've got friends or, relatives that you just spread the word that there's opportunities to get out of bad situations in life. And here ended the lesson.
Thank you.
No, I wanted to add that if you come from a family that's like that you can do whatever you want in life, and don't let your past sort of hinder you from making something of yourself. So that's another message that I want to sort of put out there for the film.
It's a good message.
It is a good message. I'm a fan.
Great.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank the three of you so much. We are running out of time here on this week's episode of American Psycho Does Loveline. So Jonathan and Mark and Felipe, I want to thank you guys so much for lending your time, and I also really want to thank you for taking your talents and putting together this film and taking this kind of very valuable and important message and putting your hearts and your souls and yourselves into it had not to be easy at all, and I think it's admirable and took a lot of courage, and so I want to thank you all very much for taking the time for being here and doing that. I am your host, Brian Crow. This has been yet another episode of American Psycho. We'll see you next week with some other crazy, goofy bullshit, because that's what I do.
That's all for this week. Join us again as the journey continues on American Psycho. Until we meet again, stay tuned for Liquor and Poker, coming up next on Excite Radio, your source for the best in original shows.